warm welcome to you, my dear children. Welcome again to Business and Accounting Studies. We were doing Unit 3. And in the previous session, we started Unit 3, Business Organizations. Yeah? As you remember, in the previous session, when we started Business Organizations, first of all, we talked about different types of business organizations. We talked about the owners of a business organization, owners, one owner businesses, only one owner, starting with one owner, started by one owner. Those were called sole proprietorships. Yeah, and we talked about multiple owner business organizations. Organizations started by not one, but two or more owners, maybe 10, maximum was 20. Those were called, business organizations with multiple owners, more than one owner, two or more owners. Those organizations are called what? Partnerships. That's right. So we learned about different types of organizations, right? And we learned how business organizations are divided, right? Using different criteria. I discussed with you. How many criteria did we learn? How many criteria did we learn to divide business organizations? Yes, we learned about 2 criteria. I told you, I took a very simple example to explain what criteria are. Yes, you remember, right? I took a criteria to divide pens. Yeah, you were with me just a few minutes ago. You watched the last session, right? Criterias. I explained to you what is a criteria. A criteria which is used to divide something. I divided pens, right? Using what criteria? What was the criteria which I used to divide pens? All the pens in this world, I divided into 2 main groups. All the pens in the world, I divided into 2 main groups. What was the criteria I took to divide pens into 2 groups? The criteria was, yes, ink. That's right, ink. I took ink, I considered ink, and I divided pens in the world as ink pens, non-ink pens. Right? You must be wondering, the people who were not with me, the students who did not watch the previous session. Yeah, we did that. You better watch the start of the lesson. We divided as ink pens and non-ink pens. So this pen, which is in my hand right now, this pen fell into which category? This category or this category? Yeah, this category. This is a non-ink pen, right? It's a digital pen. I use it to draw on the screen, but there's no ink. So that was the criteria which I used to divide pens. Ink was the criteria. Just like that, we divided business organizations, dividing them on ownership. First criteria, dividing organizations to divide. The first criteria was ownership. That's how we divided business organizations into this group, private sector, and into this group, public sector. Right? Yeah, I'm giving all sorts of gestures. That's just to remind you. Then we divided business organizations depending on or considering the objective, aim, the aim, right? So considering the objective, we divided business organizations as for-profit and not-for-profit. These are for-profit, which means businesses which aim to earn a profit. These businesses. Again, these businesses, for-profit businesses, they exist in the private sector and in the public sector. I told you most of the private sector businesses are for-profit, and most of the public sector businesses, government businesses, are not for-profit businesses. Just another reminder, I want you to get this point into your heads. If businesses are not aiming for profit, if businesses are not for profit, their purpose is not earning a profit, what is their purpose? What is their purpose? If they are not having a intention or purpose to earn money, earn profits, what is their intention? Why do they form? Why do they make these organizations? And why do they come into business? Why? What is their purpose? If the purpose is not earning a profit, what is their purpose? Why? Well, very soon in a coming lesson, you learn about these organizations. These are non-profit organizations, children, non-profit organizations, and their purpose is most of the time social welfare. That is their purpose. Their purpose or their objective is social welfare. That means to give a service, to provide a service to the society. Okay, that is their purpose. Get this to your heads, children. Non-profit organizations are generally having this objective, social welfare or community development. Okay, they are providing a service to the nation, to the society, to the community, and not earning a profit. Okay, so these organizations are mostly can be seen in the public sector or government sector. Right, so those were the part or areas that we covered in the last session. Now we come into action. We come into action with another criteria, with another base. Okay? Again, we divide business organizations depending or considering this. We consider the scale or the size of the business. Scale or the size of the business. Okay? And we divide business organizations again into two main groups. This group and this group. Again, two main groups. Two main groups. Okay, so the first group or first section is small scale businesses, and second is large scale businesses. But I'll just ask you this one. How do you decide by looking at a business whether that's a small scale business? How can you decide? Or by looking at another business, how can you decide that it's a large scale business? How? Do you just look at the size of the shop or the outlet? Or you just look at the factory or the land which the factory is situated? If it is a large factory or a land, the premises of the organization is a little bigger, you say that that's a big organization, so that should be going to large scale category. That should fall under this large scale. Or you look at the shop or the outlet of another business, and you say, oh, that is a small business, no? So it should fall under small and medium scale. No, children, you can't do that. You can't do that. Again, we consider a set of criteria again to decide whether a business is small or whether it's large. Again, we take up some more criteria. See, criteria are very important. That's why I made it very clear to you by taking this example. No, we are not going to consider ink. We are going to consider some more criteria to decide whether a business is small or large. What are these criteria? Here you go. Here, I'm going to give you right now. Basis or criteria used to determine the size or scale. These are the bases. There are many bases, but I'll just take 3. Or I'll just ask you. Just guess. What can you look at or what can you consider to decide or to determine the size, whether it's a small one or whether it's a large one business? By looking at what? Well, use your imagination and tell me. Take a guess. No? All right, I'll tell you. First, children, we can look at the number of employees. Number of employees. The workers, the staff, the workforce of your business. Workforce means the staff. Staff means all the employees you have in your business. So how many employees do you have? Working in your factory, working in your shop, in your showroom, in your father's business. How many employees do you have? 2, maybe 5? I don't know. You tell me. 10, 20, 50, 75, 80, 100? How many? All together, the entire staff. If it is a factory, the factory workers, the security staff, the guards, security guards, the cleaners, the laborers who are in the bottom, the drivers, the managers, the supervisors, the managers, senior managers. How many? Altogether, how many workers in your organization? You should look at that in a business organization to decide whether it's a small one or whether it's a large one. Simple, right? Then we can take the capital invested. How much is the capital invested? How much capital is invested? Well, okay. How much is the capital of the business invested to the business? You know that, you already know, if you were with me in the previous sessions, you already know the capital means money which is invested by the owners to start a business. Money which is invested to a business by the owners, okay, to start. That capital we can consider. Is it 2,000, 3,000? Is it 20,000? Is it 100,000 or is it 10 million? You very well know, children, that we can start a business even with a little amount, very little, as little as a few thousands. We can, you can, a business can be started with a few thousands. In the previous session, children, in the previous session, I talked about a man who is walking on the street or going along your lane or on the road, looking for coconuts or to pluck coconuts. You get these type of people, right? They shout out saying, පොල් කඩනවා, තැඹිලි බානවා, තැඹිලි ගන්නවා. You get these type of people in your society, in your community, right? So a man who is plucking coconuts or king coconuts, තැඹිලි, walks on your lane, along your lane, shouting what he shouts, පොල් කඩනවා, තැඹිලි බානවා, saying that. He just walks, right? And he enters a garden, or he comes to your garden and he plucks the coconut or king coconuts. If you don't want the king coconut, he will buy the king coconuts. තැඹිලි ටික. He buys and he brings it to the street and he sells on the street, keeping the king coconuts on the street, on the pavement, okay, having 2-3 benches or chairs on the pavement by the side of the road, and having a sharp knife. He puts up a board saying Parahai, 50 rupees. Haven't you seen these type of people? They are businessmen. What do you think? They are businessmen, children. They are selling king coconuts. Okay? What type of a business is that? What type of a business? depending or considering the ownership. Now you divide. You divide now. Depending on ownership. You tell me. Yeah, you consider the ownership and you divide into two main sectors, right? To which sector that business falls. Yes, it falls to private sector. And under private sector, what type of a business is it? Correct, sole proprietorship. It's a sole tradership business. One owner. He's the owner, the man. Let's say his name is Siripala. Siripala goes along the streets or along the lanes, every lane in his area, and he plucks coconuts or king coconuts. He buys the king coconuts from the owners, from the house owner. He buys the king coconuts. He buys for 30, one king coconut, 30. Brings the king coconuts to the street and sells the king coconuts for 50. Bought it for 30, sold it for 50. How much is his profit? 20. Very simple business. It's a sole tradership. Likewise, children, so the capital invested to start such a business is very small. Maybe a few thousands. Maybe 2,000, 3,000, he can buy enough king coconuts to sell for one day. He can buy enough king coconuts to sell for one day. He just needs few thousands. That is the capital he invests. So, capital invested can be considered to determine whether it's a small business or whether it's a large business. Simple examples, children. I'm trying to take you into this subject matter. Your imagination is important. So capital, you imagine such a small business, Siripala's king coconut business, and you know that it's a sole proprietorship, sole tradership, and the capital invested is so small. So considering that, you can imagine to which section it falls, to this sector or to this sector. Right? So that's how. The third one, the third criteria. Well, you can consider the number of employees or the capital invested, or what? Maybe the energy used. Energy used. Energy means the electricity used. How many kilowatts? If it's a big factory, the electricity bill is coming over 100,000. Maybe that's a large scale business. If it is a Siripala's king coconut business, no electricity is used. Very less energy is used. Right? So you can consider that. These are the criteria, children. We are going to come across more criteria when we go to the next slide, next screen. Okay? Good. So, likewise, small and medium scale, and large scale. Okay? Siripala's business falls into this. What type of businesses or what businesses do you know that falls into that category? All right. So, according to scale or size, children, we divided businesses into two main groups. Small and medium, large scale businesses. Let's move on. Here's your textbook content. We'll read out the text here. Different institutions have identified different criteria in classifying small and medium scale businesses. Different institutions have identified different criteria we talked about 3 criteria to divide business organizations as small and medium or large. Okay, so different criteria. Accordingly, businesses with a small amount of capital, here you go, this is the first criteria. We already talked about this, small amount of capital. So amount of capital is the first criteria. Yeah. Second, with a small number of employees. Again, this is the second, small number of employees. You can consider the number of employees. Is there like 1 employee, or are there more employees? Hundreds, maybe thousands of employees. Thousands. So you consider that and divide the business organization. Categorize the business organizations. So small number of employees and having a small market share, that is another criteria, children. Market share. Now you are saying that I didn't give you that criteria in the previous screen, right? No, I didn't. I gave you these 3. Number of employees here. Number of employees. What is the color we need? We need blue. Okay. Okay. Capital invested and energy used. Let's see whether energy used is given here. Right. Small amount of capital invested. That one we took. Capital invested, that one we took. See, it's here. Capital invested. Then number of employees. Number of employees. Small number of employees. And the third one that I gave you was the amount of energy used. That is not used here to determine whether it's a small scale business. Okay, but we use the amount of energy used to determine whether it's a large scale business. Okay, here to determine whether the business is small scale, they have used amount of capital, small number of employees and small market share. Third one here is market share, right? Relative to large scale businesses, which are relative to large scale businesses. So with a small amount of capital invested and small number of employees and having a small market share, these are small scale businesses. Oh, I forgot to circle that. Now we are talking about small and medium scale businesses. Small and medium scale means with a small amount of capital invested, small number of employees, small market share. I'm going to tell you what this means. Market share. Okay. I'll make it as simple as possible. Market share. Let's take something that you know. Let's take something that you know. A simple example, something that you know. Maybe garments. The picture which is shown here. Let's take garments or textile manufacturing. Say your mom or your mother has this type of a small garment they are producing girls' school uniforms. Your mother is running a small garment workshop or a factory like the one shown here. Okay, and they are producing girls' school uniforms, white color uniforms. And in your area, there are 3 girls' schools. Okay, there are 3 girls' schools in your area. I'm trying to give you an idea about this market share. Okay, your mother is running this business, a small garment production or a factory, and they are producing, see, white color school uniforms for girls, and you have 3 schools, 3 girls' schools. Each school has 1,000 students or girls. Student population, each school has 1,000. So 1,000 into 3 schools. There are 3 schools now, 3 girls' schools now. 3,000 students in your area. In your area, 3,000 students. Every year, they need 3,000 school uniforms for the 3,000 students. Girls' schools, right? So each school has 1,000 students, 3 schools, 3,000 students. This year also, they need 3,000 uniforms. And you are producing that, your mother, not you. Okay. From this, your mother's factory or garment production, you are providing only from this, from this, your factory, your mother's factory, you are providing only, let's say, only 500, or let's say you are providing only 300. 300 only. But every year, the market demand or the market requires 3,000 uniforms. You are providing, your mother, providing only 300. Okay, so if you take 300, how much of a portion or fraction is this 300 out of that 3,000, the entire market? This 3,000 is the entire market. Market means the consumers or the customers who demand your product, the product you are producing, the entire demand in the market, right? That is 3,000. You are producing and providing only 300. So this is your portion, your market share, children. Actually, it's your mother's, right? This is your portion or your market share. It's only 300. Only 300. So it's like 10% of the entire market demand. It's only 10%, right? That is what is meant by market share. If you are producing and providing 10% of the entire market demand, okay, your business is, if your business is providing 10% of the entire needed quantity, the full count completely, if the schools need 3,000 and you are providing 300, that is 10%. 10% is a good market share. It's a good market share. So You can consider the market share of your business and decide whether it's a small scale or a large scale. Okay? Right. Okay. So these are the determiners or bases which separates a small scale business from a large scale business. Small and large. What are the determiners or bases or criteria? Amount of capital invested, number of employees, and market share. And we discussed about another criteria back in the previous screen, that was the energy used. Okay. This criteria is mostly used for large businesses. All right. And I have something here, children. This is for your knowledge. A business which employing less than 25 employees, that is the benchmark, that is the cutoff mark, 25 employees, are considered as small scale businesses. Businesses which are employing less than 25, which means less than 25. Like 2, 3, maybe 10, 12, or maybe 20, or maybe 24, less than 25. That is a small scale business. That is decided by this institute. Which institute? Census and Statistics Department, which is a government department. They have brought forward, or they have imposed this rule or this benchmark, cutoff mark. They are saying that 25 employees or less, if you have in your business, then your business is a small business, small or medium scale business. Okay. If you are having more than 25 employees, like 100 or 200, maybe 35 even, more than 25 means, then it's a large scale business. Remember this name, children. Census and Statistics Department. Okie dokie. That is about small scale businesses, small and medium scale businesses. Okay. What are the criteria? Amount of capital, number of employees, and market share. I hope you understood my example on market share. Moving on. Well, you have a set of pictures which are showing small and medium scale businesses. This is a very small business. See, it's a small retail shop. You see these shops everywhere you go. Both sides of the road when you travel out stations, when you travel out of Colombo, you know. Let's say you are going on the Highland Road towards Ratnapura. You pass towns, many towns. Every town, each and every town is filled with these type of shops. Small scale businesses. Now, interesting question. If you consider ownership, owners, to which sector should this go? Ownership. Tell me. If you consider ownership, if you divide business organizations according to ownership, private sector or public sector? Private. Of course, it's private. So, private sector, small scale. Small retail shop. Maybe she is the owner, this woman. Maybe she's the owner. Yeah, shopkeeper, owner. She is working as the owner and at the same time working as an employee also. Sometimes as a cashier, sometimes as a shopkeeper, sometimes as a shop cleaner. She herself sweeps and cleans the shop. Okay. And she has one employee, see? He's working. He's arranging the shampoo sachet packets. Sachet packets. He's the employee and this is the owner. So one employee means clearly it's a small scale business. Right? Here we have 1, 2, 3 employees. Again, small scale business. That's a garment factory, like your mother's garment factory, according to the example. 3 employees. Okay. See, bases that we use to categorize the business as a small scale business. Number of employees is the base. Here we have a small yogurt or confectionery factory. Okay. Right. And we have how many employees? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here one is hiding, but we noticed. 7 and 8. 8 employees. Okay. To which category should you put this business? The business name is V Food. How many employees? 8. So definitely it's a small scale business, less than 25. And again, one owner business. It's a juice bar. This guy is running the business. He's providing juice to the customers. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on to large scale businesses. Large scale. Large scale, children. Text. Businesses that have invested a large amount of capital, have employed large number of employees, have a large market share, and have the ability to influence the respective industry are known as large scale businesses. Was that too fast? I'll point out the important things. Again, important things. Amount of capital, see? Number of employees. Number of employees. Market share. We come across these bases. Yeah, the same basis we talked about. So, a large amount of capital. If the business is having a large amount of capital, okay, large number of employees, large market share, these are large scale businesses. Large scale businesses. Very simple, easy to remember. Okay. and they have the ability to influence the respective industry. They are known as large scale. They have the ability to influence the respective industry, which means let's take the previous slide and the example which we took to explain market share. Right now, here the market share is 10%. Okay, your mother's garment factory or your sister's garment factory or your garment factory, which produces 300 units of products. Simply saying 300 girls' uniforms. But the entire market demand, the requirement of the entire market is 3,000. Okay, then you are only providing 10%. Okay, of to the market. But let's say out of this 300, out of this 3,000, you provide not 300, you provide 1,000 from your garment factory, from this. So you are providing 1/3. Okay, 1/3. I'm doing these calculations quickly, but if you have calculators, or if you can, you do your calculations and see. Divide 3,000 from 1,000 and you will get not 10%, you will get 33.333333 likewise. Okay, that means 1/3 of the total requirement you are providing. That is influential. That means you can influence this market. Okay, if you don't provide these 1,000 uniforms, the girls that year is not gonna have uniforms. Okay, it's not like girls are not gonna wear uniforms. It's not like that. If you don't provide this 1,000 from your garment factory, the area, the total market will face a difficulty, because 1,000 uniforms are not provided. That means you can influence, you have an impact, you have a say in the area. People expect your products to come to the market. If you don't put your products to the market, that will be a problem. Okay, that is what meant by it's the same thing which is meant by saying you have the ability to influence the respective industry if you are a large scale business. Okay, that was an interesting example, right? So large scale businesses, there you go. How many employees can you see here? How many? Can I mark on these employees? Can I put numbers? It will take hours. Even I can't count how many employees here. It's a large scale business. More than 25, definitely. Here you go. A set of pictures. which are showing large scale businesses. See the number of employees? Hundreds of employees. Obviously, clearly it's a large scale business. This one? This one is a large scale business, clearly. What about this one? How can you say it's a large scale business? Only 2 employees can be seen here. See? So I can put numbers easily. 1, 2. Only 2, right? Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we have 4 employees, 4 or 5 here. But how can you say that it's a large scale business? Employees shown in the picture are very less, only 5. How can you say it's a large scale business? How? Children, look at the machineries, look at the factory, look at this plant. How much of capital do you think invested here? Millions. It's a large factory. So you don't only look at the number of employees, you look at the capital invested. Millions must have been invested here. Right? That is another base to determine the scale or size of a business. Okay. You see another very large, plant, factory or a plant. See? How much do you think that should be invested to start a large plant, factory like this? Millions. So capital invested, by considering capital invested, you can say it's a large scale business. Millions. Same here, it's a big shopping mall. So how much is invested to start a shopping mall such as Majestic City, MC, Liberty Plaza, One Golf Face, those type of shopping malls. Those companies have invested millions, more than millions sometimes, billions. Children. So that's large scale, considering the capital invested. Likewise, children, we talked about large scale businesses and how we can identify whether it's a large scale business. What are the criteria we should consider to divide as small scale or large scale? All right. Looking back at what we have done today in this session, we started with this. We started with this slide or screen today in this session. No. We didn't start with this. We finished this in the previous session. We started with this slide, this screen today. You must keep track of the subparts, subtopics that we are covering from each session. This slide was discussed in the previous session. dividing business organizations according to objective or aim. In this session, we started with this slide, dividing or classifying business organizations according to size or scale. Okay, so I told you that basis or criteria, I will use the other word, basis or criteria. Basis or criteria are used to determine whether the business is a small scale or a large scale. The criteria, basically we consider number of employees, capital invested, energy used, and yeah, you learned another criteria, market share of the business. Very good. So I will write down that one too. I will write it as the third. Shall we? Okay. Let's take that as the third. Market share. Market share of the business. And fourth, we'll take energy used. By saying energy used, students, you should know, you should realize that we mean how much of energy is consumed, or not wasted. How much energy is used, consumed by the business per annum, per year. How much of kilowatts of electricity. Let's simply take it. How much is the electricity bill? Okay, if you get, you have a factory which is employing like 200, 300 employees, and you're producing something like, let's say, industrial machineries or chemicals in the factory. And your electricity bill, when added up for the whole year, it goes up, it goes all the way up to, let's say, 1 million. 1 million. Your electricity bill alone, current bill, electricity bill. That's a good determiner, or that's a good base to decide whether the scale of the production or scale of the business, energy used. Okay, right. So I did a small change here, and small and medium scale, large scale businesses are divided by using these bases, the same basis. Amount of capital invested, number of employees working, and the market share of the business. Okay, which institution, which government institution has put up this benchmark or the determiner? Which government institution? This institution, Census and Statistics Department. This has come several times in the past examination papers. Okay, in the examination papers, several times this question has come. What is the government institution which has imposed this limit, saying that employing 25 or less employees, a business should be considered as a small scale business? Which government institution has imposed this limit. The government institution is Census and Statistics Department. Census and Statistics Department. Good. So, small scale, small and medium, large scale, and we are done. So children, these were the criterias or bases we can use to classify business organizations in different ways. Okay, ownership, objective, and scale. 3 criterias. In the coming session, we are going to talk about how you can choose a business organization and different types of business organizations you can choose when you are gonna start a business. Very interesting stuff. I hope you enjoyed today's session, children. We are in Unit 3, Business Organizations. The first 2 chapters have been done. We are moving on to the next chapter in the next session and talking about different types of business organizations and how to choose a suitable organization to start a business. That's for you. So thank you very much, children. Thank you for getting together with me today. I hope to see you soon.